There's a photo that keeps getting used in coverage of Minnesota. It's U.S. Border Patrol Commander, or I guess he's been demoted, so maybe he's not commander anymore, Gregory Bovino walking through a Target store in St. Paul with 4 masked agents in his wake. It is the kind of image that's hard to unsee because it collapses the whole story into one of safety. Am I safe at work? Am I safe while shopping? Am I safe at all? Target is headquartered in Minneapolis, and videos showed federal agents detaining 2 Target employees earlier this month. Reuters has also reported that 2 workers were taken from a Target store in the suburbs, including a 17-year-old employee. And Target's public response has been basically nothing. Until last week, when Target joined more than 60 Minnesota CEOs in signing a Chamber of Commerce letter calling for de-escalation. The letter does not name immigration enforcement. It doesn't address the arrests at businesses. It doesn't say that people are scared, managers need guidance, and de-escalation is not a protocol. From a comms perspective, which is the lens I'm looking at this through, not the humanity one, that's not neutral. It's choosing distance and abstraction when your workforce needs clarity. When you communicate at a distance, here's what happens. Someone else fills in the blanks. Reporters write, the company declined to comment. Employees hear, we don't care about you. And customers hear, not our problem. Decline to comment is definitely a message. It's just not a good one. It's not the kind you get to write, approve, or control. And when leaders won't speak on the record about the guidance they're giving employees and their owned channels don't address what people are living through in real time, it creates a vacuum. And vacuums don't stay empty. They get filled with fear, speculation, resentment, and rumor, and in this case, boycotts as well. Not every organization needs to issue a massive, sweeping emotional statement of values the minute a story breaks, but treating silence like an invisibility cloak is a massive mistake. Silence is messaging by omission, and stakeholders, depending on who they are and what they're experiencing, interpret it immediately. When something is unfolding in your backyard and your workforce is watching it happen, we're saying nothing, or we join the business community and ask the government to work together, lands as one of 3 things. We don't have a plan, we have a plan, but we won't stand behind it externally, or we've decided the reputational risk of speaking is greater than the human cost of staying quiet. None of those builds trust, and trust is the whole job. On this week's Spin Sucks podcast episode, we're going to talk about why companies default to silence and why that rationale still doesn't protect them from reputational damage, workforce erosion, and loss of credibility. More importantly, we'll talk about what to do instead, how to communicate clearly, responsibly, and consistently when your people need leadership most.
If you're a communications pro who works hard, doesn't compromise quality, and gets the job done, welcome home. We'll share our tips, tricks, and stories, and together we will change the face of PR. Spin sucks, but we don't. With the Spin Sucks podcast, here's Gini Dietrich.
Welcome back to the Spin Sucks podcast. I'm Gini Dietrich. Before we get started, I have a little tidbit for you. Did you know that if you can't finish watching right now, you can subscribe to the audio version of this show? Or on all the platforms where you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple, or you can subscribe to our newsletter at spinsucks.com and get it in your inbox every Tuesday morning. If you've ever worked inside an organization during a tense, fast-moving situation, you already know how this goes. Someone pings legal says, do not comment. Someone else says, we don't have all the facts. Someone else worries that whatever you say will get screenshotted, forwarded, misinterpreted by employees, by customers, by the media, by neighbors, by regulators, by your competitors, by the whole world. Then the CEO or the board or both decides the safest move is to keep their head down until the whole thing blows over. I think we can all agree that's not the right step. But yes, I get it. I do. Silence can sometimes feel like self-preservation. But silence does not take you out of the story. It just guarantees you show up in it as a bystander. And when something is unfolding in the same communities where you recruit talent, operate stores, run plants, build products, and ask people to bring their whole selves to work, bystander is not a good look. The reasonable rationale usually sounds like some version of this. We have legal risk, right? Counsel is trained, of course, to reduce business exposure. And in the moment, the lowest risk sentence is often no comment, even though we as communicators know it carries the greatest reputation risk. There's also a fear of becoming the headline. Leaders worry acknowledging what's happening will make them the story, even if the story is already happening around them. The facts are always moving, and so nobody wants to say something that turns out to be wrong, because credibility is hard to earn back once you lose it. Internal alignment might be a mess. HR is thinking about employee safety and resources. Operations is thinking about disruptions. The CEO is thinking about reputational heat. The board is thinking about risk. And when those people aren't aligned, communicators get stuck holding the bag. It's not a PR crisis. It's a crisis. And their priority audience is not the focal one. They mentally categorize the people affected most as noise, not customers, and then act shocked when that noise becomes the headline, the lawsuit, and the employer brand problem. Sometimes there isn't a plan yet, which is a strong argument for ensuring you have a crisis comms pro on speed dial. And when there's no plan, leaders have nothing they feel comfortable explaining. All of those reasons are understandable. They might even be reasonable in some cases, but none of them are appropriate. Stakeholders don't experience silence as neutral. They experience it as information or lack thereof. Staying quiet does not eliminate risk, it just relocates it. Instead of managing reputational risk directly, you create internal trust erosion because employees fill the vacuum with rumor, fear, and are we out here on our own? It kind of feels like we're out here on our own. You create operational risk because without guidance, managers improvise. Improvisation leads to inconsistency, which is where mistakes and liability live. And you create narrative risk because declining to comment becomes the quote that follows you around whether you like it or not. So yes, if you're reading this and thinking, that's great, Jen, your armchair quarterbacking is fantastic. I appreciate it. But I'm in the middle of it and we can't make a public statement right now. Okay, fine. You're right. I'm not in there with you. I get it. I'm telling you what is being perceived externally, but I get it. You still have to communicate. You still have to lead. You still have to give people clarity. You still have to ease their minds. You don't need a grand manifesto. You don't need a performative value statement. You need clarity. Because the worst case scenario isn't that you didn't publish a statement, it's that your employees are living through a horrendous, stressful, chaotic time, and the most powerful institution in their daily life says nothing at all. This is where communicators can earn their keep. Saying something does not mean take a big public swing and hope you nailed the tone. It means you should reduce uncertainty, protect your people, and keep the organization functioning with clarity that's specific enough to be useful and boring enough to be credible. The mistake companies make is thinking their only two options are a sweeping value statement or total silence. That's lazy. There is a third option, and it's the one that works in chaotic, high-stress environments. Lead with duty of care and business continuity. Here's what that looks like in practice. First, you communicate internally like you actually want employees to feel safe and informed, because right now they're getting information from group texts, TikTok, neighborhood Facebook post, next door, and whatever rumor hits Slack first. That's not a communication strategy, that's a liability. Your internal message does not need to be eloquent. It needs to be useful. What we know and what we don't, what we're doing right now, what resources are available, what employees should do if they feel unsafe or witness something concerning, and who to contact and what happens next when they do. Then you give managers a script, not talking points, a script, Because the moment you leave this to manager interpretation, you get 15 versions of the truth, and at least one of them will be unhinged. Second, you align communications with operational reality. If your comms team is writing confident language while operations and HR are improvising behind the scenes, employees will feel it instantly. That means you need a real documented protocol built with HR, operations, and legal for the scenarios that are actually happening. What happens if an employee reports an incident near or at a workplace? Who is authorized to engage with law enforcement on site? What gets documented and how? What do we do about employee anxiety, attendance disruption, and mental health strain? What protections and resources do we offer, and how do people access them? This helps ensure the organization is not winging it, and it communicates the plan clearly. Third, you go external in a way that is calm, factual, and leadership forward. This is where companies get scared because they think external equals debate. It does not have to. Your external posture can be simple. We are aware of the situation. Because our priority is employee safety and clear workplace guidance, we are sharing resources and protocols internally. We will continue to communicate as circumstances evolve. That's it. That's it. No grandstanding, no empty we're monitoring the situation, no fluff that says nothing, no asking for de-escalation or for the government to work together when it's already been made clear that isn't going to happen. When people ask, what are you doing? And your answer is silence, they assume the answer is nothing. And in a moment like this, nothing is the worst possible brand question. Most corporate statements fail for one of two reasons. They say too much and wander into commentary that they cannot back up operationally, or they say nothing at all and pretend monitoring the situation is leadership. The fix is not to become more eloquent. The fix is to become more useful. So when you're doing this, do two quick checks. First, who is this for? And the answer is not the public and not everyone. Choose the audience you're trying to steady. Employees, managers, customers, community partners, whoever happens to be. If you try to write one message for all of them at once, you'll end up with a bland smoothie of words that satisfies no one and irritates everyone. Second, does your message match your operations? If you say employee safety is our priority, but managers lack a protocol, a contact list, and a clear escalation plan, you've just created a trust problem. The easiest way to lose credibility is to communicate certainty while the organization is improvising. This is also where the comms can fix it fantasy goes to die. Like I said, this is not a PR crisis. This is a crisis. Communications can clarify. It cannot substitute for policy. It cannot replace HR. It cannot replace operations. It cannot replace a plan. It cannot, absolutely, positively cannot cover for the absence of a plan. If leadership will not make decisions, your statement will read exactly what it is, a placeholder. So there is a message architecture that works. Whether you're talking to employees or to the public, your message needs 4 pieces in this order. Acknowledge the reality. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to be detailed. Just be clear that you know what's happening and that you're not pretending everyone is fine. Then state the priority. Employee safety and clear workplace guidance, business continuity, calm, consistent operations. Choose the priorities you can actually deliver on. Then explain what you're doing. Concrete actions, resources, protocols, and who to contact. And lastly, commit to updates. When will you communicate next? And where should people go to get more information? That's it. Short, useful, credible. Here's a fast way to check if your message will land. Remove all the filler words and see what's left. If the core message is we're monitoring the situation, you're not communicating, you're stalling. People don't need to know that you're aware. They don't care that you're aware. Of course you're aware. They need to know what to do. If the core message is we don't want to get involved, you may as well say we're leaving you to figure this out on your own, because that's exactly how it will be taken. The gold standard here is not beautiful writing, as much as that pains me. It's reducing uncertainty. Your message should answer in plain language. Where do I go for the latest information? Who do I contact if I'm worried or something does happen? What will the company do and not do in specific scenarios? And what support is available to me right now? That's leadership. That is duty of care. And that's also business continuity. You do want to avoid a few things. You don't want to be vague. We're aware, we're monitoring, we care deeply. Great. Do you have a plan? You want to avoid false neutrality. We don't get involved. If it affects your people and your operations, you're already involved. Do not overpromise. We will ensure everyone feels safe. You cannot guarantee feelings. You cannot guarantee actions and resources. And do not let managers improvise. Leaders should discuss with their teams is giving them the opportunity to improvise. Do not do that. Give them a script so that everybody is saying the same thing and singing from the same hymn book, if you will. And please, 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 for the love of Thor, stop outsourcing this to managers. Talk to your manager is not a plan. It's a way to guarantee inconsistent responses, accidental misinformation, and 1,000 micro crises that you could have prevented with one clear script. Give managers the plan, give managers the words, give employees the steps, and give everyone the same source of truth. So here's a simple internal script. The tone should be calm, direct, and practical. We know many of you are anxious and distracted. That's understandable. Here's what we're doing right now. Resources, protocol, contacts. If you experience or witness a situation that concerns you, here is exactly what to do. Steps. We will share updates every cadence, and you will also find the latest information at place. And for external audiences, you don't have to write an op-ed. You do have to demonstrate leadership. We are aware of the situation unfolding in our community. Our priority is employee safety and clear workplace guidance. We have shared protocols and resources internally, and we will continue to communicate with our teams as circumstances evolve. If you are looking for our updates, they will live at website address. That's enough to avoid the vacuum without turning yourself into a debate stage. And if legal truly won't let you speak publicly, then don't hide behind silence. Shift your energy to what you can control. Communicate internally, publish operational guidance when appropriate, and make it easy for employees to get help. You can lead without performing. You just cannot lead without communicating. When leaders say nothing or hide behind a vague committee-written letter, employees don't hear caution. They hear absence. Managers improvise. Rumors fill the gaps. Customers assume the worst, and the media prints the only line it can. The company declined to comment. Which brings me back to that image I described at the start. It's hard to unsee it because it forces a question that is not ideological. It focused solely on safety. Am I safe at work? Am I safe while shopping? What happens if this shows up while I'm the manager on duty and they come after our employees or our customers? De-escalation doesn't answer any of that. It's not guidance. It's not a protocol. It's definitely not a plan. If you're a communicator inside one of these organizations, you already know you don't need a manifesto. You need decisions. You need a script. You need a documented playbook that matches reality. And then you need to communicate it like you actually care, whether your people feel informed and supported. Because when your workforce needs clarity and you choose distance, you're still communicating. You're just letting everyone else write the story for you. If you want to learn more about communicating in a crisis, join us in the Spin Sucks community. It's a great place to get advice, brainstorm ideas, and build real relationships with your peers. You can find us at spinsucks.com/community. That's spinsucks.com/community. And make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. We're posting tips, how-tos, cheat sheets, and more every week. I'll see you next week.